Okay, so this is the Marketing Plan Formulas Content Marketing Playbook for CEOs. Now, I'm calling this for CEOs because this is really more of a managerial system and framework for your content marketing than it is, hey, here's XYZ, here's what you do. But I kind of wanted to walk through this, and the person I'm talking to, you are a CEO or a CMO and you're running the marketing for a company, because I want to address all the issues around that. There's a lot of questions. And if we haven't met or you don't know me before, my name's Russell. People refer to me as the Marketect, the marketing architect. I create the blueprints for hundreds of different companies to go out and basically, how do you use limited resources to achieve defined objectives and the vision with a positive ROI. Anyway, so this is coming out of more than 35 years of being on the front lines of marketing. And I've worked with not only 27 of my own companies, but literally hundreds of other entrepreneurs and business owners. And this is kind of the culmination of all of that. And before we actually get into the playbook itself and the framework, I need to explain a couple of different concepts for you because they're really relevant and they're really important that you understand as the leader of your company. You have to have these things clear in your mind. And it's just been my experience. Most people don't think about things this way. So we're going to jump over to my handy dandy doodle pad here and let's get into this. So in marketing in today's world, it's super confusing. It's super overwhelming. Most people I know, whether you're in marketing or you just run your own business and you know you need marketing to grow, it's like, how do I make these choices? How do I know what strategies? How do I know what to do? Where do I spend my money? And goddamn, it's expensive. Like, marketing in today's world is crazy expensive. And as far as I know, every business I've ever worked with and every CEO and entrepreneur I've ever talked to, all of them are limited by budget. No one has, a blank checkbook to make things happen. So we have to use these limited resources and get results. Now, the concept in marketing that I want to really kind of talk to and address here is this idea that there's kind of two different kinds of marketing out there. And so there's two different kinds of marketing. And it's important that you understand this because we're going to be talking about one kind in particular. So in all of marketing, and most of the world in today's world is kind of doing this, what I call awareness marketing. You can also call this brand marketing. This is where all your social media falls in, your guest podcasting. It is content marketing. And then the other world, which is the world I come from, is more direct response marketing. And that's where you have an ad that goes to a landing page that has a funnel, and every piece of that funnel is measured and has an ROI on it. And it's direct response marketing. You want to get to a point where you say, look, if I put $1 into this machine, I'm going to get at least $1, 10, 20, 30 out of it, or whatever the ROI is. But it's measurable. And what's important here as we go through this playbook is that you understand the difference between these two, because what we're talking about in content marketing is not direct response marketing. It is purely producing content for an objective. Now, what's the objective? It's brand awareness. It's informing your marketplace. It's positioning of your business. Are you this or are you that? It's creating assets in your business that attract and bring in people, which leads us to the second kind of quick topic I want to touch on that's important is, in all of marketing, it's really just two things. So there's only two things you need to know about in marketing. And those two things are interestingly related and slightly overlapping, but basically those two things are, in all of marketing, you can simply boil it down to saying, look, it's either traffic or it's conversions. And let me give you some examples of what I mean by this. Let's say you're a B2B business and you go to trade shows. The trade show is the traffic piece of it. What you do in your in your booth, and maybe you're doing a VIP dinner or something, what you do to get people to come into your booth, raise your hand, and talk about doing business with you, that's the conversion mechanism. And so whether you're online or offline, if the billboard, let's say you do billboard advertising, the billboard is the conversion mechanism. The people driving down the highway are the traffic. So primarily we're talking about online stuff, and this content marketing, that's the traffic piece. We're not talking about the conversion piece at this time. So I just wanted to make that clear. That's a whole nother conversation, and I have a much deeper video that explains these two concepts for you. But they're really important as you're the manager and executive making the decisions in your business. You have to understand these two concepts, because as you make decisions and deploy resources, you need to know what you're doing. And this will help you hopefully make some of those decisions. So let's now jump over. Now is where I'm going to go and run, and we're going to go through this Content Marketing Playbook. And I'm just going to quickly run through it with you. You will be able to download this. This is a generic template that we use, not only for our own business, for lots of clients. And again, if you go back to that concept, what we're talking about here is this is content. We are investing in our limited resources, and content, again, it's freaking expensive. I don't care if you're talking about producing a blog post versus a YouTube video versus social media versus a podcast, whatever the content is, it's expensive. It takes man hours, it takes creative hours, it takes money to produce. You have to write it, you have to make it look pretty, then you have to get it out there, you have to manage it. And all the while, you're managing your opportunity cost, right? So I can't tell you how many business owners that invest in an SEO strategy when they need leads today, where SEO is a long-term game, and it's just a totally wrong strategy for them. Anyway, let's get into this. So this is content marketing. And as we go through this, when I define the word, because this is really important in marketing, the word content can mean anything. It can mean a video, it can mean a podcast, it can mean articles, it can really mean anything. In this particular plan we're going to go through, it's a blog post, okay? That's the one that is most familiar with most people. And I think we're all going to understand the concepts in here. So I just want to be clear that as we go through this, it can be a blog post, a video, whatever. So we always start with what's the objective. And in a content marketing objective, we are basically producing and have available valuable content for your audience. Now, who's your audience? It can be internal or external. Again, it can be brand awareness. It can actually be customer support content where you're creating how-tos and how to help them solve their problems by using your products, that kind of stuff. It also helps position, point number 2, it positions your company in the minds of the customer or in the minds of the market. I work with one company that's an online educational company, but in their marketplace, it's a little confusing because their messaging is more around what they teach in their education products. They're known for that, and they're not necessarily known as an education company. They're looked at as more of like a management company. But this is a marketing messaging thing, and this is where content marketing can help clear that up for you in your business and in your market. In this particular case, it also helps establish a keyword basis for your website. When Google's looking at your website, they look at your keyword footprint, and the bigger that footprint is, the more you're going to rank for. It's that simple. So you want to produce content to get a bigger footprint to get more traffic on your website. Also, this content will help you attract backlinks to your website, which in the marketing world is the gold cougar end of marketing. It's the most valuable thing you can do for your website, just about, is get good long-term backlinks to your site. It's both for SEO purposes and just pretty much traffic, right? It's also, this is going to help you distribute all your content across email, social media, and other distribution platforms. Now, in here, I'm linking out to a couple different documents. We also have this project kind of timeline, and this will become more clear. I'll kind of explain this as we go through the playbook. But this is just a managerial tool to help you keep on track. It's built out quarterly over 3 months. And it's just to kind of keep on track is, where in the process are things getting done? Because that's the biggest part, is making sure that you can create a content machine that you can execute on effectively and quickly, so that like you can invest, a week in a quarter's worth of content, get it produced, get it distributed, and then you can spend the rest of the quarter monitoring it, monetizing it, and or just doing other things, right? So we don't want to make this into a full-time job. The other link in here is an ad tracker. This is more direct response. I'm not going to go into this, but I have links and documents everywhere. If you go to my main channel, and there's a link to download the main channel guide, has all my playbooks, everything I've ever done for 35 years, I'm dumping here, and it's going to all be within these linked Google Docs. So anyway, content plan, we're talking about content. And again, in this particular case, we're talking about blog content. So there's two pieces to content. There's the production of the content, and then there is what I call distribution, or what do you do with the content once you have it produced. So the first piece of this is production. And because again, we need to assign roles and responsibilities. Who's going to do what? Who's in charge of writing the script? Who's in charge of designing the page? Who's in charge of proofreading and checking to make sure there's no spelling errors, that sort of stuff. So this is how we're going to do all this stuff. So it all begins with a well thought out and well researched keyword or content map, right? If you're going into a content marketing strategy, you don't want to just go into it willy-nilly. You want to have some rhyme and reason behind it, which actually ultimately stems from your customer. What is the problem that they have that you're solving for them? That's the content you should be producing. The other metric that you use for your content, you can frame it in terms of maybe search volume, search traffic, things like that. But what is the specific site metrics that you're going to use to determine what is success and what is failure? Most people just use, general Google Analytics, things like that. And when you're talking content, again, we're not looking at the conversion metric. We're looking at strictly the content. And is it working for you? I think the best metric to use is just unique visitors per month, right, to your website. And that number you just get on Google Analytics, that's linked right here. But if you say, look, I'm going to spend 90 days doing this blog content strategy, and we have X number of traffic today in 90 days, I better see a lift, right? I want to see some sort of result. Unique visitors is the biggest, obvious, easiest one to get. You can also break it down into MQLs and leads and, all sorts of different stuff. It's totally dependent on your business. Some of the other metrics that would determine the quality of your content would be, are you actually generating any new backlinks? Are you generating any new SERPs? Are you ranking for pages and content that you hadn't been doing in the past? Other things, spread on social. You could be looking at engagement. You could be looking at, are people sharing your content? Does it actually get good feedback? Is it valuable? That's always the big question, is what value are you providing? Whether it's YouTube, whatever, you need to have an idea of what are some of the metrics going into this that are going to determine whether or not we're going to continue with this after 90 days or 6 months or whatever your commitment is, because it would be insane to keep putting money into something that doesn't do anything for your business. I see that all the time. So right now, we're talking about a blog post again. And right here, so that starts with blog. Typically, you're talking about keywords, right? So we're going to look at how do we create a keyword map. And this is one of my favorite SEO guys. It's just a YouTube video, how to use chat to do it. I've got a link here to my template. But basically the idea is you have main topical interest things. We do a lot of work with fractional CMO. We do a lot of work with companies and their marketing and strategies. Again, marketing blueprint, so you know where you're spending your money actually is going to build the house you want to build. That's marketing strategy. But within that, you have topics that relate to that. And so we want to map this out. So in this particular keyword map, there's marketing strategy, marketing plan, fractional CMO, marketing consulting. Those are kind of the big buckets. And then within each bucket, you have these smaller breakout pieces of content. And what we've done is we actually sort this content, because again, it's expensive to do all this stuff. So it makes sense that if we're making a piece of content around marketing strategy and consulting within the marketing strategy bucket, let's invest in what's going to have the highest search volume, right? That just makes total sense. So now this not only gives us our topical roadmap, but it also gives us some sort of quantitative measurement for making decisions on what content to produce. So that's that. And then what we typically do is, I'm not a big fan of, every single day kind of a thing. We're going to get there. But in this case, we usually do about 2 blog posts a month, and that's what we recommend. And so again, this is a 90-day schedule. We break it out here, and you have, what's the theme you're doing? So there's 6 posts in total for 2 a month over 3 months. What are the keywords we're targeting? What's the title of the articles? What's the link to the articles? And when did it get done? Again, it's all about roles and responsibilities and accountability and getting shit done. That's the biggest thing I always hear in marketing is, hey, what is Sally doing? Making these Instagram posts all day long. You feel like you're just wasting money, and I hate to say it, you probably are. But anyway, we produce these posts. Now, this is the content portion, or the creation portion of your content plan. Now, the second piece to this, and this is the piece that I see most people forgetting, is the distribution piece. Okay, we made this blog post. We invested in it. It wasn't free. Now what do we do? And that's where you need to have a distribution map so that you can now start to realize results from it. And the problem is that most companies we work with, they don't have a clear-cut distribution map that again is measurable, it's accountable, you can assign it to somebody and they have a checklist and they have to go and do this. And if they don't do it, what's broken where. So the first place, and I'm just gonna run through this real quick. The first place is internal announcement, whether you're using Slack or Teams or whatever. You want to announce that this content is available, because I've talked to numerous, I hear all the time these B2B sales teams, oh, we need content, for sales support. We need marketing materials, brochures, things like that. Well, 9 times out of 10, excuse me, 9 times out of 10, that stuff probably exists. They just don't know about it. Or think about it this way. If you're a CEO or entrepreneur and you post on social media, how many LinkedIn posts do you go and see and there's no engagement, there's no likes, there's no comments, there's no nothing? Well, chances are those people probably employ other people. There should be some sort of process by which, hey, we have this content that's now produced. You have an SOP, and everything in this guide here, or this playbook, anything that's in yellow is something we're still working on. Actually, we're still working on everything constantly. There's nothing in a final state here, but you should have an SOP that says, hey, when we have a public announcement of a piece of content, your job as an employee, let's say it's a YouTube video, your job is to go watch that YouTube video. I don't care if you listen to it, but let it play all the way through. That's what the algorithm is looking for, is views per hour. We want that velocity in the beginning. Or a blog post. Believe me, Google's looking. If you publish a blog post and you get lots and lots of traffic on that right away, Google's going to take notice and say, hey, this is a new piece of content that's getting traffic. There's a lot of attention on it. Maybe we should have it rank higher in the SERPs. So the first place, obviously, for distribution then is your own internal teams. The second place, what we do then is, again, imagine we've got a finished blog post. We come in and we say, all right, what are the social media platforms that most companies use, or you in particular use? For most companies, it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And so we have the 4 platforms. And what we want to do is we want to take this singular piece of content that we just created and spin off 5 social media posts for the one piece of content. So now across 4 different channels. So we're talking about 120 different total posts that you can create. And this is where we have this timeline come in. And again, this is where you come in and, okay, now we've got this piece of content completed. And then down here we have is the distribution map. Now the person who's responsible for this just goes down the checklist, right? And again, we hold them accountable for all this stuff. And the goal here is we want to build out, 5 to 6 weeks of social media content based on this blog post into the future. And so you can do this. And this is where AI comes into play and is super valuable. You can go in and, take this blog post, if it's published, or even if it's not published, just put the transcript in there. And I'm gonna link in this document some of the AI scripts that I use in the prompts. But you can say, look, pretend you're this writer and look at this blog post and write me 5 unique Facebook posts speaking to these 5 different people that will drive traffic back to the blog post. Now you've got those done. Go into the Google Calendar. You can see it here, this, not the Google Calendar, your Facebook calendar. In your business profile, you can get in there and do that. Let's see if I'm logged in here. And you can schedule this stuff out in advance, right? So you can have the whole month scheduled out. Takes maybe an hour to do that? I don't know, not a lot of time. And then you just do it across your different channels. You do it with Facebook, Instagram, that's all the same platform. You do it with LinkedIn, and then you go do it with YouTube. But at the end of the day, you've got 120 social media posts across 5 different channels. And at a theoretical level, I don't know. I don't see that taking more than 120 minutes, 2 hours, maybe, So it's about resources and getting shit done and getting results fast. And that's the whole point. And so the idea then is, you need to come in and for each of those channels, develop your baseline numbers and what's important, that sort of stuff. But, you can use AI to spin this out, But this is, the first stop for your content distribution. And again, it's manageable, it's accountable. You can assign this role, you can farm it out, you can do it yourself. You can, it's pretty simple, but you have to have it written down. The next piece of this is your email. Now, I'm still a huge fan of email. I think it's the #1 marketing strategy for all businesses. I don't care what kind of business you have. And your email list, that's your one chance to get a one-on-one conversation with your prospects. And so you want to treat that relationship as sacred. And, if you're producing good content that solves your prospects' problems, that's exactly what your email list is for. And so we go in and for each piece of content, we write 3 unique evergreen email. They don't ever refer to seasonality, time, anything like that. And they're just simple, like, hey, we have this new piece of content, go check it out. And we email that out to the list. And again, you can pre-schedule in your email service provider 3 emails in advance. Say it's 1 every week. And then over the course of the quarter, we've produced 6. So now we've got 2 a week or 3 a week or however you want to schedule it. But now you've got weeks in advance of email going out. You're nurturing that relationship with your prospects and the people on your list. And it's easy. You can go and write these 3 emails per blog post, I don't know, in an hour, right? And push it out. And you're done. And then, then you monitor that strategy, your email stuff. I have some numbers in here that we watch. You want to keep a 20% open rate across a 30-day moving average. We want to train the list to click on our links. So we maintain a 3.5% click-through rate. Again, it's a 30-day moving average, blah, 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 blah. You get the picture. Every sub-strategy within your big content strategy has its own metrics and everything. We'd be here all day if I were to get into all that. But we're just going to finish on this distribution and what kind of some general distribution stuff. The next one is Brian Dean coined this term. It's called linkerators. He's one of the big brains in SEO. And the way you think of a link orator is, you know, we run kind of a fractional CMO service company and consulting company, and so what a CEO would go to Google and search for would be, say, like, should I hire a fractional CMO, or do I need a fractional CMO versus a marketing agency, something like that. And Google produces results. That's called a SERP, search engine result page. And if you look at the top 4 or 5 results, those direct links, the main thing that Google's still looking at to produce those results is backlinks. So you take it one step out. I hope it's not too confusing, but you take that winning SERP and you put it in a backlink checker, Majestic, Moz, what's Neil's, Uber SEO, I think. And you see who is linking to that page. What other websites are linking to that page that help them get to that top SERP? And those are your link orators. Those are people and websites that have a tendency to link to this kind of subject matter. So this is a very methodic process to go and find those people. And what you do is you basically just create another email list in your service provider called link orators. And every time you produce a piece of content, guess what? All the link orators, they get an email saying, hey, you like to link and be associated with this kind of content. We just published this blog post. These are the 3 big things in it, and this is where timing comes in. If you're able to produce all this content in, say, 10 days, now you've got the rest of the quarter to actually go and get nitty gritty on this stuff. Maybe you could go and say, listen, you wrote a blog post about insurance fraud and marketing. I don't know, I'm just making something up. And we just posted this, we just created a blog post on marketing for insurance companies that's related. And you could link out to the post. Here's where you could put the link, like you can get really specific, or you could just, have a big long list and shoot it out. But I guarantee you, if you have this link of, or this list of link orators and you're sending them really high value, high quality content, you're going to get backlinks. And the idea here, our metric is, with this schedule, we want to generate 60 new backlinks per quarter, right? Just pretty generic. And so, yeah, there's the process. Next one is kind of similar. It's journalists, right? So journalists are always looking for a good story. They always need good content. And so we go, and there's journalists who right now are like, man, I wish I had something to write about in your industry, in your niche. And so you go and you create a list of journalists, put it in your ESP, your mail service, and every time you produce a piece of content, guess what? Hey, Joe Blow, hey, Sally Mae, we just produced this piece of content. It would make a great story for your magazine or newspaper or whatever. Go ahead and feel free to riff on it. Here's some story ideas based around it. That's also where AI is real good. Oh, and by the way, you can kind of salt the mine here and say, if you want an exclusive, we can arrange for a one-on-one interview with our CEO. That way the journalist is going to be like, right on, man. I got this new content idea, and I got an exclusive interview and some quotes, and there's resources. Like, you're doing their job for them. It's a win-win. They're going to love it. And all of a sudden now, this is old school PR. You're going to start showing up in the trade mags, in the normal magazines, across different journalistic endeavors, whatever. So that's the journalist piece. The next piece is, all right, I'm done with that. I sent those emails. What industry forums are out there where people are talking about this stuff? Reddit, Quora, like there's thousands of them out there. I've linked, and I used more of our links in this document, but here's one here. It's the Chief Marketing Officers Forum, right? Well, if we're producing a good piece of content, I should now go to that forum and say, hey, everyone, we just made this big resource. Go get it. And not only are they going to appreciate that, it gets us traffic to our site, but again, it's generating backlinks and it's awareness and it's positioning. It's achieving all the goals that you've set for your business with this content strategy. The final one is industry influencers. Every industry has influencers, whether they're big or small, it doesn't matter. Again, I'm a huge fan of lists. If you can't tell, go create a list of your industry influencers across 100 different platforms or whatever, whether they're in print or on video, online, offline, speakers, whatever. Go create your list. And every time you produce a piece of content, reach out to them. And again, they all want ideas for content. That's their job as an influencer, is to be a content producer. So go make their job easy. And kind of the same idea, right? Like, hey, we can give you a special guest appearance or an exclusive interview with our CEO, CMO, whoever. Maybe it's a resource you have in your company, a supplier, who knows. But the idea is these influencers, they need content too. So you might as well feed the machine, right? And so the idea here is less, here's, ABC, what you should do. What I wanted to do was give you a conceptual idea as the CEO of the company. Here's how you want to think about your content engine. Now, I'm going to ask you, if you had this in your business and able to execute on it, I really like for you to make 6 blog posts and then go through this entire distribution checklist. If you have your list developed and you understand and have all the AI prompts and stuff, you have someone doing this. How long is it going to take you to execute a full quarter's worth of content marketing in reality? I think even a entry-level position, an entry-level person who has, fairly fundamental but rudimentary skills could execute on this entire marketing strategy in 7 to 10 days. You can get the entire 3 months done and out the door, ready to produce. It's all scheduled. It's done, right? Now you can go focus on other stuff or enrich it or just sit and do more content or whatever. But the idea is you're not investing, you're not hiring, that young person to sit there and just do freaking Instagram posts and sounds like a pretty cush cherry job to me, but it's not doing anything for your business. And so, yeah, I can't tell you again, look at your own content marketing. I'm sure every single one of you will probably have a story of, we hired this company and got nothing for it, or we tried doing this and got nothing for it. And I'd have you ask yourself, where did it break down? Did it break down in your objectives? You weren't clear on what were the goals? Did it break down in the creation piece of it, or did it break down in the distribution piece of it? If it was distribution, were you even doing any distribution? Were you doing anything with it at all? Or were you just creating all this amazing stuff and just kind of holding it out there and just hoping and praying the world finds it? You have to get it out there. So it's this idea of creation and distribution, and then having the metrics and the management on top of it, so you know what you're looking for, so you can determine, is this a positive investment or not? Because again, going all the way back to where we started, this is awareness marketing. It's not direct response. So we're kind of, it is a little bit of like produce and hope, but we're trying to stack the odds of success in our favor as absolutely as much as possible. So I hope that helps. Again, you can download this specific playbook, or I also, in the channel, I have my YouTube roadmap. This is the master playbook that links out to everything else. We have the entire marketing plan formula syllabus is in here. This alone was a $10,000 course we were selling. Has all of our playlists, B2B marketing, B2C marketing. It's basically my archive of the last 35 years, with my own businesses and on the front line of marketing. I'm putting everything in this one document, and then it links out to everything. So you can go get this. The links in my banner on the website are down in the description. But yeah, I hope that was valuable. I'd love to hear from you. Does this solve your problems? Does it raise new problems? Am I full of shit? Let me know in the comments. And most of all, I thank you for your time, and I wish you the best of luck. I want nothing more than your success. That's the bottom line for me. So thank you. That's all.